Hey, Happy New Year, everybody. This is Ryan with TrendLizard.com. Per subscriber request, I'm going to take a look at a few stocks this evening. We're going to take a look at Palantir, PLTR, one we've taken a look at several times before. We're going to take a look at Block, ticker SQ, and then wrap it up with always in the news, Tesla, TSLA. All three stocks that are pretty interesting and worth taking a look at. So let's start with Palantir here. It's had quite the up-down lifespan here. It was incepted back in about mid to late 2020. Had a massive run from the upside, was a very popular stock at the time, went from about 10 up to 45. And since then, over the past 2 years, it has gone about giving back all of that and now sits very close to, if not at, an all-time low. Now, when action was jumping to the upside, you can see price action was very strong. Very trendy when we see 5-wave moves to the upside. That is trendy price movement, and then action in the other direction. That is 3-wave or ABC movement is counter trend movement. So at the beginning of this guy's lifespan, things looked great. Obviously, things have changed dramatically since then, and the trendy 5-wave moves have been happening to the downside, while the corrective moves have been happening to the upside, like this 3-wave move here. So let's go ahead and provide a little more detail to this price action here. We're just taking a look at this decline off of the 2021 high, and this kind of fleshes it out. Like I was saying, you can see a 5-wave decline here in early 2021, a 3-wave ABC recovery, another 5-wave decline down into May's 2022 low, and after another counter trend recovery, price is again working its way to new low. Now, the most bullish thing that we can possibly say about a stock that's been getting crushed for 2 years, that has cut this far down over that time span, is that there's some hope that maybe it's about to complete a 5-wave move. It doesn't mean that it's going to find a low and then resume the overall uptrend. That may not happen, but you can see what happens when 5-wave moves complete. You have a 5-wave move here. Generally, you have a pretty nice bounce back. Even if it's a counter trend move, you generally get a decent recovery. So that is kind of the hope. But before you can really indulge in that hope, you have to look at or want to see something that indicates that a low is in. And so far, we're not getting that from Palantir. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit more. Now we're just looking at this down leg here off of the 2021 high. And you can see everything to the downside has been beautifully trendy. 5-wave moves to the downside. And then when a recovery finally did emerge off of May's low, it was a counter trend move, not a 5-wave move like this. Stayed below that key level that we looked at last time, 1175. And since then, prices returned to new lows. So we continue to get counter trend recoveries, trendy downside moves. Let's go ahead and zoom in on just this action here. And we're continuing to get that. If you see this decline off of August high, it was a 5-wave move. And then this recovery in September and October, counter trend ABC move. And now we have downside action that has again returned to new lows. We need a break of this cycle for there to be any indication that there's a low on Palantir. We have never seen it. We have never seen trendy upside movement. We've never seen it break a key level to the upside since we've been following it and since it's been in this down move. So that's a problem for Palantir. That trend has to change before you can be bullish on this guy. The first thing that could happen to indicate a bullish change in the way this in the way this guy's price action is behaving would be a move above 780. That's this level that we're looking at here. That would finally put an end to what has been trendy downside action and would provide the first hope that some kind of low is in. And again, if we step back out, you have that big 5-wave move, then you can maybe start talking about a much larger recovery, something that's going to retrace a significant portion of this big down move. Might end up being a counter trend recovery, but still it would be very valuable. So I think that's what we need to see before we can be bullish on Palantir. That potential is there. But so far, there's no sign of it. All we're seeing is trendy downside action, counter trend upside action. We're not here just to be fanboys. We're here to look at the facts. So far, the facts remain bearish. Maybe that can change. A move above 780 would be the start of that, or some trendy 5-wave upside action. Then we could start being bullish on Palantir and potentially the start of a much larger recovery effort. So that is Palantir. Next up on our agenda is SQ Block. This guy has certainly been all over the news, or at least a popular stock for a long time. It was incepted back in 2015, had a great run, obviously, moved all the way up towards 300 in 2021, has given a massive portion of that back. It's hard to look at this entire advancing portion of the move off the 2015 low or inception point and find a trendy 5-wave move. I don't think we're getting one. What it looks like is we had a nice 5-wave move here, an ABC pullback, and then a beautiful 5-wave move here. So to me, if we want to, figure out how this fit in the larger 5-wave pattern that we don't see since it was incepted at this point, I think it's probably a third, a fourth, and a fifth. Obviously, whatever is happening to the downside here is massive. It is retraced more than 61.8% of its entire advance over the span of its life. So because it's done that, we know that this is a larger degree move. This is more than just some small correction, obviously. This is more than just a correction of the upside price action we have here. So we don't have an obvious end point for this guy, like where should it find a low based on some support level. We can't find one because all we see is a portion of the upside pattern. Just because it was incepted in late 2015 doesn't mean this is the start of a 5-wave pattern. It just means this is where we dropped into the Elliott Wave pattern that kind of naturally existed before then. So this is a larger degree move. We don't have any support level to watch to suggest when a low should be found. So we'll have to focus on the decline itself. So let's go ahead and do that, zoom in on the decline. First, we're seeing that 5-wave advance in late 2020, early 2021, and then some sideways action before the larger decline began. Now, obviously, this down leg has gotten so big over time. At the start of it, there's no way you'd guess that this was going to be such a big decline. It moved sideways for so long, nearly a year, honestly, before it really started breaking down. Makes it a little more difficult to label. At the start of it, it certainly looked like counter-trend movement, A, B. Could this be one massive C wave that ended in an ending diagonal, which would kind of make sense since ending diagonals happen when a move runs too far, too fast, which it certainly looks to have done. It's hard to say. What we know is this has moved below any support level, so it's hard to say exactly where that support's going to be found, but we do know the potential is there for something larger to emerge. Now, that's been the hope for SQ, and if we look at this action off the low, it's kind of come in a little bit short. I mean, first you have that downside action in November's low, trendy 5-wave move, could have been the end of this 5-wave decline here. The problem is this upside action off of November's low has left something to be desired, and here's a look at that move here. That initial up leg off of November's low looks a lot like an ABC counter trend move. Since then, we've had this larger pullback. It's retraced more than 61.8%. It's not like it retraced a ton more, but so far the clues that we're getting with this advance off of November's low suggest that it's a counter trend move. I don't know how else we can label it unless we're just trying to force a bullish labeling on it. If we're being objective and just trying to figure out what the charts are telling us instead of trying to tell the chart something, looks like a counter trend move so far. I don't want to give up hope on it. Again, I mean, you look at, back my way out here, I mean, there's the potential that that a much larger down leg completed and a much larger recovery of some variety is beginning. It's just disappointing so far that this has been a counter trend like move to this point, as indicated. So the initial impression is that maybe we have an A wave up here, we have a B wave down that's been playing out, and we're going to get a C wave up, and that's what we're seeing on a lot of different things, not least of which is like QQQ, the NASDAQ ETF, NASDAQ 100 ETF, and a lot of other major stocks out there where we see the potential for a C wave up in the near future. So there's that potential, and if we step back out, if this was a larger degree recovery, I mean, it could be a very large move. This would be a Fibonacci retracement of this down leg if this is just a counter trend recovery. So the potential's there. I don't want to give up on it, but like I said, what we're seeing so far with the recovery off of November's low, it doesn't look trendy. We need something that says, oh yeah, this is a larger degree recovery. Now we can start really buying into it. A move above 77 would be a good start. That would open the door for a much larger move. Maybe some trendy upside action. If we see that, we could start talking about some type of larger recovery, even if it's going to be a counter trend recovery. That's something, so that would be worth our effort. Until then, we have to be skeptical. But if we see a move above 77 or anything that can be mistaken as trendy upside action, then SQ becomes a very interesting proposition with the potential for a much larger recovery effort. So number 2 is down. Let's go to Tesla TSLA, one we've definitely looked at a bunch of times in the past. So obviously it's been in the news. It has been in a free fall in late 2022, and it's a bit confusing, to be honest with you. What we have here is we have from its inception back in 2010, Nice 5-wave up. An ABC counter trend pullback, found support where it should. Another very clear 5-wave up move. And then a pullback again that started in counter trend fashion, but has really accelerated and has moved pretty firmly below support over that time. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. Let me actually look at it this way. What we have thought to this point, that what we saw here was a first wave, a second wave, a third wave, and that this was a fourth wave. Obviously, the problem with this take at this point is that the fourth wave has retraced so much of this third wave advance. It's retraced way more than 61.8% of this third leg, which would be pretty rare. It's pretty rare for us to see a fourth wave that creates such a deep retracement. So that's a concern. We don't know exactly what it is that we're looking at. Let's go ahead and zoom in now. Or let's, again, I missed that one too. Let's look at it in a different light. So we've changed the scale here to a linear scale where every box is 25 points instead of a percentage point, just to put more into context the depth of this pullback. You can see this 5-wave up move here, same as it was labeled before, and then what a gigantic pullback this is that has moved below any type of support that we would find from Fibonacci retracements. So there's that. Finally, let's go ahead and look at it this way. Here's the 5-wave up move. Then you have that retracement. The good news is so far this pullback, despite its growing size, still has a lot that looks like counter trend movement. You have what looks like an ABC move here at the start of it. You had a deep retracement. And overall, the entire pullback still has a 3-wave form. So there is hope that if it, at some point it can actually stabilize from this free fall that it's been in and start recovering, it's not going to take a ton for this entire pullback to look like a counter trend move. And here's what I'm talking about. If you take a look at the details of this pullback off of the 2021 high, off its all-time high with after splits and all that good stuff was around 400. But I mean, this very much looks like an ABC down move. It was mostly retraced by this strong recovery in early 2022. And all this action right here really looked like choppy counter trend movement. Obviously, things have changed since September of this year when things have really started to decline more steeply to the downside. But at the end of the day, it's very much like what we were talking about with Palantir. We just need some proof that a low is in before we can do anything aggressive. But that potential is there. This very much still looks like a counter trend move if it can stabilize and do something to suggest that the tides have changed and that something more bullish to the upside has happened. And for Tesla, the initial indication that something has changed would be a move above 164. That's what we would need to see. We obviously want to see trendy 5-wave patterns on a small time frame to the upside, but a move above 164 would be something to work with that suggests maybe finally this massive pullback is over. Now, I can't say for certain what it is anymore. If we step back out, again, it looks like it's bigger than a fourth wave. It's hard to say, but I think we take it with baby steps for now and just focus on what is going on here. Can we prove that it's a counter trend move? Can we get some indication that a low is in and that something new to the upside has begun? Hopefully that happens soon, and as soon as we see that, then we can get more aggressive. In the meantime, you have to be careful when a stock gets beat down this much. Again, you just need some kind of proof of a change. So hope that's helpful. Hope you all have a wonderful start to your new year. It's going to be a great year for the market, hopefully, and a great year for us in our portfolios as well. So if you haven't done so already, come visit us at TrendLizard.com. We do this stuff every day on every major corner of the stock market. Have a great one. Talk to you soon.